Race 2 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Innsbruck in Austria on a snowy Sunday morning. Well, luckily no snow in the air, lots on the ground though, so it is picture postcard perfect as we get into our second and deciding heat and the final race here for the women in Innsbruck after 2 weeks of competition. Well, we go 20 down to 1 in the second heat, and John Morgan could be a close battle for the medals, as so often is the case here.
Well, it's pretty much the same cast of characters top of the leaderboard. Team Kalicki here. She was second last week, and you know, she's got that sports scientist on the back of her sled, did decent start times. And, you know, she finishes up the run. She's only 800ths out of the goal. Look at the way she ducks her head at the finish for 100th of a second. She's only 100th behind this team De Bruin from Canada. Christine got a bronze medal in last week's race, so these two are setting things up for a good challenge for the podium. Well, you know, Martin, they're chasing down the new leader of the pack in women's bobsled in this Laura Knowlton. Different brakeman this week, Deborah Levy, and she posted the second best start time, but she won the pre-Olympic race in China. She won the race last week. She's leading this race by 800ths, but this is the rising star coming out of the German camp right here.
Well, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Last week's top three just shuffled the pack, but they are still the top three. Mariama Yamanka and Alana Myers-Taylor tied for fourth place. Mariama was fourth place last week. Alana was seventh. Katy Bile in sixth position. Local heroine has had a bronze medal here in January this year, but doesn't look like she's going to be close enough today. And further back, we get down to the bottom of the top 20. 20 of 24 sleds in the first heat made it through into the second run. Misha McNeil and rookie brakewoman Adele Nicol just scraping in by 200ths ahead of the tie between Anne van Nieuwenhuis and Giada Andreuti. And then Brianna Walker also not making the cut, along with Kim Uran. Well, there are the sleds waiting for their drivers. The drivers' changing room is upstairs here, so often it's downstairs in the changing areas. And the athletes, there's Cynthia Appiah having a word with the coaches. Athletes busy warming up, brakewomen particularly, and the drivers running through what they need to do in the second heat. And of course, video analysis of the runs helps you spot where the mistakes were made and where you can improve. And no matter how good you are, there is always somewhere to improve. We talk about it so often, John, the sophisticated warm-up areas there, a gravel car park covered in slush. Well, here's our start list. 20 sleds, we go last to fast, so Misha McNeil and Adele Nicol will go off first. Misha needs a big result. She needs to move up 5 or 6 places to try and get Olympic qualification standard for the second week here for Team GB. Lara Knowlton will go last to try and defend her lead. Race 2 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup in Innsbruck in Austria. Martin Haven and John Morgan on the mics, and Misha McNeil and Adele Nicol, rookie brakewoman from Wales, on the ice. Adele, a former Team GB shot putter, drops about 20 kilos to make weight for bobsleigh. And Misha McNeil, 20th place last week, 20th this week, do with moving up the order. Beg your pardon, 16th last week, John, sorry.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be doing what we expected of her, Martin. She might be just trying to concentrate and going through the motions and qualify and go to the Olympics and peak there, but you know, she's challenging for podiums in the past, and now she's in the back of the pack, barely making the cut. So, not such a good start to the season yet for her.
Not as good a week as last week. Last week she was in the top 2/3 of the field. That's what the British Olympic Association requires 3 times. So she was hoping to get a second hit at it here. Of course, this is only race 2 of 8, so she has more opportunities. But the more that slip out of your fingers, the fewer you have left. Let's take a look at the line. 54.12. Well, that's 3/10 better than her first heat. I'm not sure that, where are we now? 13 days into usage, this track is 3/10 better for everybody. That looks like a much better run from Misha, just when she could really do with it.
Well, she was the first person down in the first heat and the first person down in the second heat, No one's got better ice to work with. You're the first person down in the first heat. You shouldn't be in 20th place, especially when you got a resume like she's got. So Martin, 3/10 better. You might be right. If she could have done this in the first, look what that time would have done for her in the first heat.
Well, she'd have been 16th, which is the lowest position she needs. That was very late there. Little sketchy in the labyrinth.
Crossover.
So will she move up? Yes, probably. How far will she move is the big question. First to challenge is Ashley Werner of Australia, with Kira Rodingas, her brakewoman. Kira, new to ice sliding, new to ice, new to cold. Comes from the desert of Western Australia, where winter temperatures are in the 30s. And John, I don't mean Fahrenheit, I mean Celsius.
Well, there's a video special they did on her. She's from the desert in Australia. She'd never seen snow. She got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. She went out and went out and rolled around in the snow. And how about that transition, Martin, from the desert in Australia to a back of a bobsledder Eagles.
Yeah, back of Burke to back of a Bob. It's a long, short step. Well, at the moment, 3600s ahead of Misha McNeil. They had a decent advantage from the first heat of 1100. She's really added to that. She was another 10th quicker than Misha at the start.
Yeah,
it's a good-looking run. Best speed as well from Ashley Werner. She's going to move up, John.
Yeah, she was second person down. You know, maybe that first couple sleds down wasn't an advantage this morning. 53.82.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot better there. That's 50 hundredths better, Martin.
Well, how much better that is, John, is that would have left her in 6th place after the first heat, ahead of Katie Bile.
That's a big deal.
So that is the 6th fastest run of the competition so far. And you're right, the first 3 out here were the first 3 out in Heat 1.
Yeah, the 3 sleds at the back of the field were the first 3 out. Yeah. That's a reversal of fortune from last week, where the first people out had a huge advantage.
Well,
not bad. A little late here. A little late coming off 9.
She is
didn't steer a lot, though. I give her credit. Look at the clear visor. Look at her eyes. Looking about 100 feet where she wanted to be.
Sled looks good. Drive looked good. And they had a quicker start as well. Puts the pressure on the sleds that follow. First of whom is Anastasia Makarova, with Elena Mamedova behind her. Makarova relatively inexperienced. This is only her 5th World Cup start ever. This was only Ashley Werner, the current leader's 2nd World Cup start. So a good battle of younger drivers here.
Good technique in the start, getting in. 300s, a couple hundreds better than their first heat. 2nd best velocity, though, so that means wasn't a great entry into the sled. Don't have a lot of time to play with. Their 300 is already behind. And she had the 200s deficient start. So now it's a race, head-to-head race here.
It is. She only had 300s in hand from the first heat, so effectively it's a dead heat to anybody other than the stopwatch. 500s back, it's still super close.
She's way more experienced than the Australian Werner, because the Australian Werner is only in her 2nd World Cup ever. Did a lot of training the Australian did in Lake Placid last March.
And across the line, 800s back. So Ashley Werner moves up, and Makarova hangs on in front of Misha McNeil. Yeah, well, this is her 5th World Cup start, Anastasia, and Ashley Werner's 2nd, and they swap places. They were exactly tied at the start in the first heat. Werner a couple of hundreds quicker in the 2nd, and comes down 300s faster. I beg your pardon, 900s faster.
She finished 18th in last week's 2-man. She's 19th at the moment, unless some other sled falters in front of her. Look at that big air on the take-on to 12. Watch this. A lot of pressure on the nose. So that's not perfect.
Yeah, she was 18th, Ashley was 19th. Currently, they look like possibly being 19th and 18th in the opposite positions to last year. But that depends on what happens with the next sled, Wai Ming Ming. Now, Wai was only 700s ahead of Ashley Werner. And John often use 700s It is the official time that it takes to blink a human eye. That's how tiny these margins are.
Start time. She should be about the same as the Australians, 64, 69. So you lost 100, the Australians gained 100. Big result last night for this young Chinese athlete, Ming Wai. She top 10 finish in the Monobob, which was the best for women's Chinese bobsled team. Good lines. Got a track and field background. 700 back. Excellent. Nothing wrong with that. Fourth best speed though. There's something wrong with that. 1100, she's gonna fall more. She could fall back 2 spots.
I think she's not going to drop behind Misha McNeil. She doesn't, but
tied.
She
got a
is.
tie
No,
for third, right?
She's behind. No, she's behind Makarova by
tied.
300s.
Yeah.
Well, she was 400s ahead of Makarova, now 300s behind. But that run from Ashley Werner, John, that was properly from the top draw for a woman who's only started 2 World Cup races and both of them on this track. Wai Ming Ming, not the greatest hit. That's why they lost a little of their speed at the start.
Yeah, they were 500 slower at the start there.
Yeah.
But Ashley Werner's time, wow, if you're saying it's the 6th best time of the run, of either run so far.
Yeah. Well, Katy Bar did a 53.86 in the first heat, and she's done a 53.82. So Katy Bar was 6th. That makes it the 5th fastest run of the day so far. Now, of course, the track may be, it's less snowy, it's a little bit less humid now, the clouds are clearing, the track may be quicker. Not sure it was 0.3 quicker for Ashley Werner and not for anybody else, though. Well, Wai Ming Ming was 400s ahead of her teammate, Ying Qing, with Du Jiani, her brakewoman. So this is a really tight battle between the two. And as you pointed out, John, Wai was ahead in the Monobob yesterday, finished 10th, and Ying was behind, but is ahead currently in the women's bob. So how does this end up between the two of them?
Chinese national championships is what this is right now. Head to head. And there's always a desire to merge as your country's #1 sled in the race. That goes back to my father's day, to my day, to present. That's a little ego thing to walk around, that I was the best sled of my country in today's race.
The other adage is, if you can't beat your teammate, you are never going to win. It's as simple as that. Because you'll always be behind one person, and that's the very closest person to you. Keep your friends close, your enemies closer.
This is close.
Yeah, it is going to be very close for the lead. 300s,
the leader.
A whisker. Oh, she is by 100th of a second. Well, that's Ashley Werner on the left, Kira Rodingas on the right. So the Aussies, do you know what? Only 100 separating these two. There might, no, I don't think they're going to move up. There's another 10th to the next sled. I think that is that for the first 5 sleds.
Yeah, she was 13th in last week's race, so she's going to need some help from a couple athletes coming down to move up to that, at least get to the 13th position. Pretty good line here. I mean, this is out of the Big 10 curve, but she taps before the exit or the entrance to 11. That at that speed part of the track, that's costly.
Yeah. So Ying Qing of China leads from Ashley Werner and Anastasia Makarova. 5 down, 15 to go. Melissa Lottenholtz of Canada with brakewoman Erica Voss behind her. Melissa, 9th fastest start, 15th at the bottom of the track. Brakewoman in her 3rd World Cup start, driver in her 5th as a driver.
Who had that same little skid there. She got in like she did in the first heat, Martin, but the best start, the best velocity. She had some problems on the 6 to 7. And then I remember she had a hard hit out of 9. She shouldn't be back here. She had a better result than this in the previous week. Just holding it there. Got by that albatross where she made the mistake in the first heat.
Yeah, finished 9th place in last week's race. She has a best result here of 5th place in January. So this is a long way below par.
Mistake at 9, but not as bad as the first run. Martin, this is a much better run. She's a quarter second ahead. This is what she should have done the first heat. She's a top 10 athlete for sure. 57.73. Wow. That's a much better run.
In the first heat, that would have left her tied. That would have left her tied for 4th in the first heat.
Yeah. You know, but she's new, Martin. She's only got probably 100 trips down the track and sleds as a driver. Former great brakeman for Canada. Look at the tap. Same thing she did in the first run. Exit of that little 6. And here, not too bad. Look at the runners. She's steering there. And that's not a clean exit and a crash into the wall, but she'll figure that out eventually.
Persevere, that's the word. Melissa Lottholz and Erica Voss are the leaders. 14th after the first of our 2 heats, Anja Grecu and Katrina Witt. Katrina, formerly a German slider, tried out skeleton before moving to bobsleigh and then moving to Romania. And again, Anja Grecu with better results on this track than she is showing at the moment this season, John. Her best in Innsbruck, 6th place in the race in December of last year.
66, pretty similar time, 100 better. Only the 5th best velocity, but that's also the 3rd best start. So hasn't been performing to the level we thought, Martin, when we saw her come out and almost capture that European Championship a few years ago up in Sigulda. 1600s back. I don't know if she's going to find 1600s on the bottom. Melissa Lottholz really put in a good run. Good lines there.
Melissa and Ashley Gardner have been the standouts in this heat.
1000s. I don't know, Martin. She's going to run out of track.
She's coming. It's going to be close, but I agree. I don't think she's got enough ice left. She doesn't find the speed.
Diego, the longtime Romanian head coach. Can't say much about this being wrong. Looks good there. You did hardly any steering there, Martin. She had the best speed, but her deficit was made up top. Into 8, she was fine.
And the starts aren't quite there either. 13th, should be top 6. So, Melissa Lottholz, the leader from Anja Grecu. Next to the top of the track, Margot Bock and Carla Seneschal from France. Sandy Claire was on the back of the sled last week. Carla Seneschal, the great woman today. French team keeping all their athletes as fit and as race-tuned as they can. A perfect opportunity as well when you've got the same track 2 weeks in a row, just to kind of figure out which of your brake women is better on this particular start, because all the starts are slightly different. They've got slightly different length, graduation of drop away, and it doesn't always suit the same sliders.
Yeah, pretty much the same start as she had last week, 68, 7th best velocity at the bottom line. Watching the first heat, she was pretty impressive on the bottom part of the track. Good speed. She lost all her time up here. 16 back, that's relative to the start. Track in La Plagne, where she's from, not like this one. Longer.
All the brake women say La Plagne is like running a marathon and then jumping in the sled. The start goes on forever.
And so does the track.
6th best speed, 3rd place at the moment, behind Anja Grecu, but there's only a 10th top to bottom, and she's going to drop away.
3rd, she drops 2, and the Canadians move up 1, as the Canadians should. They shouldn't be back there, Martin. They should be in the top 8, is where she finished last week, right?
Yeah, 9th last week. Ditto Andrea Greco. Andrea Greco moves up a spot, but she finished 17th last week, so she will improve on that.
It's all about personal best.
Yes.
1 week to the next, 1 day to the next, 1 heat to the next. Just
and you
try
hate
and
to
improve.
lose a place.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter
just
whether it's first or last.
So getting in the sled, nice gymnastic move to jump over that little sidewall. And the brakeman hops in, look at her arms, come in, cat-like movements, we say, to get into an aerodynamic pose. She buries herself in there well. I really like the way that she buries herself, Margaret Bosch, where you can barely see her helmet. Little mistake there at 8, too early on that expansion joint at the take-on. Margaret.
Next up, Lubovchenik and Yulia Egoshenko of Russia. Their advantage, 0.03 of a second over our current leaders. This was such a tight battle. Melissa Lottholz has already overhauled 2 of her close rivals from the first heat. Will this be a third?
Well, she's on the verge of doing it. 65, 67 there, 65 here, so 200's improvement at the start, which is great. Got to be a little, it wasn't very clean up top in the first run as I remember it. 1100's back. It's going to be a lot. Again, Lottholz shouldn't have been back here in the position she was. She made some pretty good driving errors at the top of the track in the first heat. Now she's just moving up to the space she's familiar with, which is top 10. Pick off somebody else.
Yep. Wow.
900s. It's fun time to spend time in the leader's box, but it's not a good strategy to have a bad first run so you could do that. That's not the way you want to do it.
No, ideally not.
If you go from 6th to 2nd or something, yeah.
The 4 sleds we just seen, starting with Melissa, were covered by 0.03 of a second. So in any normal world, that would be a dead heat. If we were timing it to the 10th, they would have been tied.
Can't
and a
fault
10th of a second.
These lines, Martin, but
yeah. Just a little rocky. And
Lottholz beat her by 600s at the start.
Well,
900s at the bottom.
Yeah, 900's over 1,200 meters. That's 100th of a second per 100 meters. Even Usain Bolt isn't that close to the rest of the field. Martina Fontenev next up for Switzerland with Nadia Pasternak, her brakewoman. And this sled, 700s ahead of Lottholz. 400s to the next sled. So these are all very bridgeable margins. Martina Fontenev's going to have a much better second heat than her first just to hold on here.
62 in the first, 62 in the second. She had the second best start time, second best velocity. Martin, she did not qualify for the second week in a row in the Monobob event. Very disappointing. She medaled in Monobob in St. Moritz last year, and she's not doing very good so far in the two-man or two-woman event.
Only the 9th best speed.
15th last week. So this could have bottom. Only losing 1 or 2 places. It's an improvement. Still not where this Swiss athlete wants to be. 400's back. She's going to drop at least 1.
Yeah, should be ahead of Lubovchenik, and she is by 100th, but the Canadians move up again. See, it was tight after the first heat. It's still tight between all these sleds.
Well, Lowell shouldn't be in 14th place where she was. She should be in 8th or 9th. So there's another 2 sleds. The next one's going to be a challenge for her former teammate and the lady she used to slide with, Kaylee Humphreys. Marina, though, 11th place this week, 15th last week. She did improve. She's still having some issues with that Monobob, though.
Yeah, and down there in the labyrinth as well, you saw the brakewoman getting bumped out of the sled.
1.5 kilometer difference at this part of the track. That is a lot when you're dealing with hundreds of seconds.
10 sleds down, 10 to go here in Innsbruck. Melissa Lottholz continues to be in the leader's box and climb the order. Well, John, Melissa Lottholz, struggled a little in the first heat, but she's trying to make amends for that now.
Well, she still has the 6th fastest time of either run. Yeah. She got the fastest time in this run, but you know, she had good ice to work with, Martin. But that's not what you want. You don't want to be back as 12th or 16th, 15th to have good ice to work with. You want to be up 5 or 6.
Andrea Greco on the left there, Katerina Vick on the right. The French crew join. That's Carla Seneschal waving and Margot Bock hidden. That's the high-tech, sophisticated transport that gets you up and down the hill, back of a truck.
Okay, they're preparing the sleds. They line them up to start.
Line them up, knock them down. And so Erica Voss on the left, Melissa Lottholz on the right.
Erica Voss, she's from Toronto, lives in Calgary now, though. She's an energy analyst, long jumper.
Yeah, long jumper, a triple jumper, so clearly a glutton for punishment. There's Nadia Pasternak with her driver.
A little PR picture.
Yeah.
Nice snow in Innsbruck. Wasn't like that last week.
It wasn't so much, was it? No. Mind you, I mean, this is Olympic season. We start so early, don't we? You sort of forget that, you know, people are on ice from September, and it's now, late November now, but this is already our 2nd World Cup. So enjoying hanging out in the leader's box, Melissa Lottholz and Erica Voss of Canada. And you just saw a quick glimpse of her former teammate, Kaylee Humphries and Lolo Jones at the top of the track. Race 2 at the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup in Innsbruck in Austria. 10 down, 10 to go. Kaylee Humphries and Lolo Jones, the world champions in Altenburg in February. 10th after the first heat here, and trying to hold off the challenge of Kaylee's former brakewoman, Melissa Lottholz, with her now brakewoman, Erica Voss, who are the current leaders.
Very disappointing, 5.62 in the first run. They got a 5.62 again. Martin, last week, Kaylee got 4th. She had the best time in the first heat at the start of 5.50 with Sylvia Hoffman. Second heat, she had the 6th best time and ended up losing a medal by 100th of a second. But to see her back in 10th, when was the last time we saw Kaylee Humphries in 10th place in a women's bobsled race? Can you remember?
Maybe a while, may well be a while. And I'm not sure that's going to happen when we get to Altenburg either.
But to start, she's really lacking at the start, but this is, you know, she's got the eyes and hands as good as anybody with all the
little touch.
Medals. Second best speed, only 600s to play with. It's 800. She's pulling away. She will be the leader, Martin, but don't know if it's going to let her move up to start. She's usually not back in the 10th best start.
She came down slower than Melissa Lottholz by 400s. She had 1200s in hand. Wins that battle by 800s.
You know, this is not
Lolo
where
Jones
Lolo
okay?
Jones. This is not where Lolo Jones and Kaylee Humphries. Watch it. What here? Look. Ooh, look at that. She stumbled twice, 3 times. I don't know if she did that in the first run. It's the same start time, 5.62, 5.62.
Is her left foot slipping there, just not digging in the ice?
Look at her right hand. Look at her right hand, too.
Oh, that's why she was, missed the handle.
She must have done that in the first run, too. We didn't see that, but look at, she almost fell.
Yeah.
Wow. Good pickup by our team.
Wow. Well, that's why they wear those quarterback gloves, to try and make sure that they've got a firm grip on the sled. We don't often see that, but here we go. Next up, for Canada, Cynthia Appiah with Dawn Richardson-Wilson. 4th fastest start in the first heat, 5.54, and they may need all of that to try and move up here. And again, big start. Yeah.
Cynthia Appiah's not had too many opportunities to beat Kaylee Humphries.
No, that's for sure. She had a few to push her.
Dawn Richardson, she's a 100, 200 meter track and field athlete. She also plays rugby. Appiah is just one of the best athletes in the field.
And Cynthia, like Melissa Lotholtz, started driving after the last Winter Games in Pyeongchang. This is only her 4th World Cup start, John, and all of her World Cups have been on this track.
She's been doing great. She's been doing great. I can tell you, she's pulling away here.
She could move up here.
She is one of the rising stars in the sport, no doubt, Martin. We saw her emergence last year at the Altenburg World Championships in Monobob.
Whoa. She's come down. Woo! Stop the sled, Dawn. She's come down nearly 4 tenths quicker. 53.59 would have left her in 4th, 600s out of the medals. Oh boy!
Oh, she
Look
didn't
out,
hit this bar.
Beijing.
She didn't hit this bar perfectly. You know, the driver and brakeman got a hit at the same time, but two really good athletes. I like Dawn Richardson's technique there. The head stays right on her shoulders, not side to side. The entry into the sled, Dawn's arms aren't perfect.
Well, again, relatively new to this. It's only her 7th World Cup start. That's Dawn there. That's her gum shield, by the way, not missing teeth. Next up then, 8th after the first of our 2 heats, Nadezhda Sergeyeva of Russia with Yulia Belomesnik. 6th fastest start. They only gave away 300s at the top to Cynthia Appiah, but her advantage at the bottom was only 500ths of a second. She's going to have to produce a huge run to stay in the leader's box.
Cynthia Appiah probably has 5 World Cup starts. How many starts? 4 World Cup starts,
4.
Martin?
Yeah, 4 now.
And how many does Sergeyeva have? 50? 40?
Where did she start? 13. She has got 39. This is her 39th start.
So it's rookies against experience.
In fact, Nadezhda Sergeyeva has got as many starts as a brakewoman as Cynthia Appiah has as a driver.
Well, she's 400s.
Yeah,
400s.
She's not going to hold it, John. She came flat out to the Kreisel, hopped over the brow. 9th best speed. This is where it goes away.
No, gone.
Yeah.
Now the question is, she should stay ahead of
the Kreisel.
Humphrey.
Yeah, 2 tenths back to Humphrey. She'll be 2nd. It was exit Kreisel. She came off flat, hit the ditch, and Cynthia Appiah and Dawn Richardson-Wilson.
Remember, there's
not sure how they make weight with all that hair in the sled.
All sorts of qualifications here, Martin. The top 3 countries, I think, will get 3 sleds apiece in the games. Canada looking very well. Germany, of course, is locked up. There's 2, and Russia, I don't know.
Russia could.
All sorts of America Cup points.
This is true. And Europa Cup points as well, but that's where the athletes are placed, and you get the greater weighting is for your World Cup.
Sergeyeva, good start times there.
Yeah.
Just didn't hold it.
So, 7th after the first heat, Melanie Hassler and Irina Strebel of Switzerland. And last week, Melanie Hassler finished in 6th place with Nadia Pasternak. So the Swiss team swapping the drivers and the brakemen around to try and find the ideal combos.
Should be faster. 59 in the first run, 58, 55, 400.
There we go.
That's the way to challenge.
Now they're firing.
And the best velocity. So that was some good load in the sled. Ooh, she drifted out of curve 3 or 2 there.
It's the first time they've raced together this season, so just getting that synchronicity together in the hit, maybe. 1200s up, is that enough?
Good run of Monobob last night too, Martin.
Ooh, 6th best speed, needs a good exit here, gets one.
13's pulling away.
Yeah.
Good exit here, she should put herself in that first position. 3rd best speed, ooh, she sneaks through there. 900s is coming back, but I think she's got enough.
Be very close. This is for 7th place at the end of the run, at least, and by 700s. So she just hangs on. Brakes. Yes.
She'll be happy with that.
Absolutely. So fantastic, she's saying.
Who's having more fun?
If I remember from last week, it's top 12s in World Cup, which are Ricard.
Who's having more fun than Melanie Hassler?
Nobody.
Every time down. Look at her eye. Look how low her eyes are. I love that position.
Yeah. Again, she needs a periscope. She hits that lump of ice that's sticking out
every time.
Yeah. I think 3 top 12s. She now has 2, and in Monobob as well. Katy Bile of Austria with Jenny Onosanya behind her. Jenny on the block, sorry. 6th fastest in the first heat, 200s ahead of Melanie Hassler. The tie for 4th place is a long way away, 1300s ahead of them. And a medal would be unbelievable from here. It's nearly 3/10 away. But she knows the track well.
59 in the first run, everybody else is getting quicker, so she should get a 56 or 57. 60. Martin, I was really not saying nice things about her performance so far this season. Then she went out and put a good run in. But, you know, 20th last night or yesterday in the Monobob. Not a good finish in the last week. And this is the World Cup champion from last year. You know, very consistent on every track. 600's back.
In the last race here last season as well. Took a bronze in January of this year.
She knows the Austrian shortcut down here. There's a perfect exit.
Gonna need it, and she's got the best speed.
Look at it, she's coming in.
Should be 5 or 6 in front. Top 6 here. Needs this in a big way. She gets it. 800s up, 53, 55. So it will be no worse than 6 for Katy Bile.
Now that's what we expect out of her.
Yeah, that's a bit of redemption after 10th last week.
And then the Monobob last night, 20th, or yesterday.
Yeah.
She looks relieved.
Yeah, a lot better. Yeah, 19th yesterday. I mean, that's just a disaster in the Monobob for her.
Well, all the lines, you know, if you want to copy lines coming down this track, this is the one right here. Sneaks over on 8, but she makes a mistake there. As soon as I compliment her, she hits that take on. Too early.
Even in replay, the curse of the commentator has its effect. So, bigger smile this time from Katy Bile, and that was a bit of relief as well. Top 6, that'll go a long way to helping her achieve qualifying standards. She leads with 5 to go. 5 sets remain, second race of the Women's World Cup here in Innsbruck, Austria. And Martina Fontenev, the Olympic champion, tied for 4th. New brakewoman Alexandra Burkhart, the fastest 100-meter runner in Germany with an 11:01. Semi-finalist in the Olympic 100 meters in Japan rather, in the summer. Could well be on her way to China for a Winter Games within 6 months of that performance.
I won't be surprised if you start seeing her rotate onto the other German sleds like the Germans do. Yeah. Mark, we had not seen her. Thank God we got somebody to give us some information about her Olympic performance in between the runs. But you could tell when she got out of the sled, she was built like a sprinter.
First time in the sled, John, 2 weeks ago.
Okay. All you other sprinters out there, this is what you can do.
Get off the couch, get to the track. Best speed from Martina Fontenev, the Olympic champion, needs that start that she used to have with,
53.32. Well, that's only 4100s better than her first run.
Yeah, that's a big improvement.
Yeah, the track's getting faster for everybody.
Well, it's offering the opportunities if you don't mess it up, and that was a much cleaner run from Martina Fontenev. Is enough for a medal? Well, it would have been. She'd have led the first heat with that run, John.
Look at the technique by the brakeman now. She's probably got 8 trips over her life.
Yeah, maybe.
Look at her arms. A little late with the arms, but she, you know, been plenty of dry land training, I'm sure, with the Germans.
Not that much, I don't think.
You know,
because they'll have been all on ice by the time they finally got her into a speed suit. But she's learning fast. Well, there she is, Alexandra Burkhart and Mariama Yamanka closest to us. They lead with 4 to go. Well, Mariama Yamanka has just laid down a smoker, and that means Alana Myers-Taylor and Kasia Love, her new brakewoman, who also makes her World Cup debut today. So 2 brand new brakewomen who've never raced in the World Cup before, tied in their first ever race. So they get right in at the deep end with pressure. Can she bring a little more to the start with Alana than a 550? 545!
Wow!
Hey, way
54
to go.
in the first run. That's the way to turn it on.
Yeah.
Now, she needs that to have a chance. Kasia Love, a Utah athlete. And Alana, well, she needs to be clean here. You know, she's got to pick up 10, 1500s. That start's going to give her the chance. Now she's got to take her eyes in hand and do what she did in Monobob, which she won yesterday and she won last week. So she got the Monobob figured out. She's losing 100
speed from
back.
Alana, 1900s up. It's still a long way. She was 2 tenths out of the medals.
Not very good speed, Martin. This is going right
down
to the
7. This will be a dead heat. They were tied in the first heat, tied in the second. No, she drops back.
Boy, with that type of start time, 1100s on Jamaica, Alana 2 weeks in a row, or 2 days, 2 weeks in a row, has really lost all sorts of time in the bottom part of the track. Sled, runners. With that type of lead on this track?
Well, Kasia Love competed for the University of Las Vegas. 100, 200, 4x1, 4x4. She's got some legs, hasn't she?
Boy, I mean, bottom part of the track, and you can't tell. These are not bad lines.
Not that ugly, no. Oh, mind you. Okay, well, there's a kilometre or 2 gone out at the top speed right there. Hit that like it was a brick wall.
Impressive start.
Mariama Yamanka leads, 3 sleds to go, 2 German teams. First of whom, silver medalist driver last week, Kim Kalicki, gold medalist break. Don't leave her hanging, Leonie. Gold medalist brakewoman Leonie Phoebe swaps out of Lara Nolte's sled as René Spies and his team try and find the best driver brake combinations.
Phoebe, the driver, or the brake, but she was on the winning sled last week.
Yeah.
With Nolte, the sports scientist that she is. We documented that story.
And Leonie Phoebe has won here with Stephanie Schneider as well, who's her regular driver.
551, great start. Kalicki, 4th last week. Big, huge lead. This is the leader. This is a bronze medal at least. Could be a different color, but that skid is not going to help her there.
Still second best speed.
Yeah,
3400s over Mariama Yamanka. She had
28, 2900. Tucks her
ahead, 2800s. Well, she had 2 tenths from the first heat.
Yeah, that's
she only added 800s to her advantage over Yamanka, though.
2900's better. She knows that's a good heat. She likes it.
I'm Funsish, 51, they're telling her. That's the start that Leonie Phoebe wanted to know.
Look at the difference.
2100s quicker than anybody has gone so far today on that run.
Fastest time of either heat, isn't it?
Yep, by a margin, yeah.
Yeah, big hit there.
Fastest in the first heat was a
what would it have been without this mistake here, Martin, was a 10th
at least. A 10th, at least. There's Kim Kalicki on the right, Leonie Phoebe on the left. So Christine de Bruyn and Kirsten Bujnowski. So Christine and the Buj last week, bronze medalists. 700s off the lead after the first of our 2 heats today. This could go either way. This is going to be very tight.
53 should be a 51. There's a 53 again. I mean, most athletes in this heat have improved at the start, but she has the best velocity. Her brakeman's got a little track and field background, another long jumper. 400's back. That's the start.
Well, she was absolutely flying down below the Kreisel, but she can't afford the gap to grow too much. Best speed in the Kreisel. Here we go. This is where she made her money in the first heat. Little late flop. 700's back. The gap has grown.
Perfect exit there, Martin. Maybe too much control, though. Henge losing time back now. She's not gonna fall back.
Well, she'll still be in the medals, but Kalicki leads from De Bruyn. They were second and third last week. One sled to go.
I don't think that was a bad run by Christina De Bruyn. I just think Kalicki had a great run.
That was 2 tenths better than her first heat, so that was a big improvement from Christine.
Yeah, but
off an equal start.
Her and Kalicki were separated by 100. Kalicki went 3 tenths better.
I'm not liking the way that her driver's brake handle keeps moving up when she's jumping into the sled.
She doesn't hit the take on there.
No.
At least she gets through there without
kind of skidded in a little. Well,
another bronze medal, though.
Yeah, second week in a row. It's the same 2 leading with 1 sled to go, and the only difference is a different brakewoman behind Lauren Alter. Last week is Leni Fiebig, this week Deborah Levy, and John, what's that in the air? Lauren Alter, led Kalicki by 800s after the first heat. There is a little bit of snow. Now that tiny amount could actually help lubricate the surface under the runners. So that can make it quicker in a straight line, but a little less responsive in the corners. How does this one go for Lauren Alter?
51, 51, 2 heats in a row. Brakeman's a track and field athlete from Wiesbaden. Every week, the German drivers have different brakemen behind them, just like in the American team.
Yeah.
Checking things out. 800's lead, that's going to grow more. Martin, this lady has been on a tear. She won the event in China. She won the event last week. She's on the as I said that, her 800's lead went to 6. Maybe the commentator's jinx. 4. She's been on a tear, though. Look at that line.
9 podiums in her 12 races so far. Could be a tie for the lead. She's back in front.
Back in front.
100 meters to the line. How close is this going to be? 600ths of a second. She wins again.
Second best time of the run. Kalicki had the best time of the run. That's why she moved up.
And the podium this week is the same as last week. Lauren Alter wins. Silver to Kim Kalicki. Bronze to Christine De Bruyn. Deborah Levy takes her first win of the season. Lauren Alter, 13th World Cup race in women's bobsleigh. Her 6th win. She's got 4 other podiums. That's 10 podiums in 13 starts. 2 sixth-place finishes, 1 crash.
Martin, she's just been doing it. She was second in the the Monobob also.
Yeah.
And third the week before. So in 4 races, she's got 2 golds, silver, and a bronze. She is the dominant driver so far this year.
Yes, she is. Lauren Alter and Deborah Levy reunited. She said after winning last week, really glad to have Deborah coming back in on Monday. So Deborah Levy didn't train last week. It was all with Leni Fiebig. She's trained this week, a couple of days. And then they pull out second best starts in both runs and the fastest 2 runs in each of the fastest run in each of the 2 heats.
Lost a little time in that second run, but or it was Kalicki. I think Kalicki was just that good in the second run.
Yeah, Kalicki was a couple of hundreds quicker in that final run than Lauren Alter was, but Alter had enough to hang on by 600ths. Christine De Bruyn, again the bronze medalist. Mariama Yamanka 4th ahead of Alana Myers-Taylor. Katie Bile takes 6th. Melanie Hassler, another great result in 7th. Cynthia Appiah, 8th place. Excellent stuff from her. Ahead of Nadezhda Sergeva and Kaylee Humphreys. And the rest of the top 10. Big run again from Melissa Lottholtz. She moved up the order. Margot Bock did well too. Ashley Werner moved up the order as well. And so Misha McNeil hanging on in 20th place. Improved her time, but not her position. Doesn't meet the qualifying standard in this week's race. So many stories going on, but we're now starting to have to focus on what might happen with this young woman before we get to the games in February. If she stays fit, you're not going to get very good odds on her for the Olympics, are you?
She's got it all going. She's got one of the top starts. Driving lines, like look at this, she's got one eye. We can see one eye. She's driving around that little curve on the perfect aerodynamic form. And they said
I was going to point that out during the run. She drives this like you ride a motorcycle. She's like leaning into the turn to see where she's going. In the straights, she's seeing almost nothing. She sits so low. With a perfect score, she is our World Cup points leader from teammates Kim Kalicki and Christine de Bruyne. Mariama Yamanka now in 4th place, ahead of Alana Myers-Taylor. Melanie Hassler 6th. Katie Bile up to 8th place behind Kaylee Humphries. So that is career win number 6 in the women's bob for our points leader. And she has now won the last 3 races. No, she hasn't won the last 3 races here. She won the last 2. Kaylee Humphries won the last race here in January. It's Lara Nolter's 3rd race win on this track, her 2nd with Deborah Levy, winning last week with Leonie Fiebig. And that's it for the women from Innsbruck. They now head to Altenburg in Germany, the scene of the last 2 World Championships. But there's more action this afternoon from the Königsklasse, the Blue Ribbon event, the 4-man bob. 1400 local, 1300 GMT, that is 0800 Eastern. From John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew, we'll see you then. Bye for now.